President Obama, the L word, how Republicans decided to go ugly. Tonight, the president is a liar, says Sarah Palin, and she's just the latest to say it. Is this really a winning strategy? Rick Perry may be the Republicans' great hope. But did you hear about his Al Gore problem? And Rush Limbaugh, cockeyed theory. Go ahead, Rush. Just blame the Democrats. Today, the president called members of Congress to do the right thing.
This is not an issue of salesmanship to the American people. The American people are sold. The problem is members of Congress are dug in ideologically. This is not a matter of the American people knowing what the right thing to do is. This is a matter of Congress doing the right thing and reflecting the will of the American people.
But there still seems to be some resistance on principle, some say, on politics, others say. We'll see. Joining me now is Republican representative from the state of Texas, Congressman Michael Burgess, and he's a member of the Tea Party caucus. Thank you for joining me, Congressman.
Well, always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Now, Congressman, let me ask you, do you think that it is good and even advisable to go against the will of the American people? The president cited there in that statement you just heard that the American people is with him on this, not with you and the Tea Party. How do you respond to that?
Well, Reverend, with all due respect, I in fact agree with the president. But in my district that I represent, which is a fairly diverse district, 89% say do not raise that debt limit, do not give the federal government any more money. It has enough. It needs to find a way to make do with what we're already giving them.
So are you saying that your district runs counter to the American public because poll after poll says contrary? I mean, look at these polls. We have several polls here that gives a totally different picture. And we have Republicans saying, let me give you the polls, though, Congressman. You've got 67% of Republicans saying that the package should include spending cuts and tax hikes. That's one poll. You have another poll saying the same, that the approval, 66% to 31% disapproving raising taxes on those earning above $250,000 a year. That's a second poll. Third poll, 61% spending cuts and tax hikes. I mean, all of these polls seem to clearly back what the president's saying.
Well, if that's what you believe, encourage the president to run on that message, and perhaps we'll have a different occupant of the White House next year, and maybe that'd solve a lot of our problems.
But that seems to be what Americans believe. I just showed you 3 polls. All right, fine.
Well, Reverend, all I know is what I see and hear from everyone I meet at home. And I recognize I live in Texas, I live in North Texas, but I got to tell you, I have a pretty diverse district that runs the gamut of far right and far left. And I am not sensing a groundswell that says, you know what, you guys just don't have enough of our money to spend. We need to find a way to get you some more. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you make do with what you've got, not a penny more. And come on, Al, you know good and well, there are plenty of places in this government where money is spent inappropriately. We see it every single day.
Well, I don't disagree with that, and I don't think that many people disagree. It's a question of whether it's shared sacrifice. Maybe you don't hear it a lot because maybe we're not getting enough information out to the diverse people in your district. For example, do the people in your district know that you have hedge fund guys that are making all kinds of money? Let me give you an example. You got a guy who last year, look at this chart, who made $4.9 billion, the equivalent of 184,000 people in your district, and we're not going to close the loophole on his taxes. I think that your people in your district would be very concerned if they knew that while you in Washington fighting for this guy to have the right to do that, they're paying their share. Where's the shared sacrifice? That this guy's loophole has him able to pay a state tax on earned income.
You know good and well, Al, that individual, I don't know who that individual is. I suspect he's an Obama contributor last time and probably
doesn't matter who he contributes to. You're contributing to him making money as long as you have the loophole there.
That individual does not pay taxes, Al. You know that as well as I. The very rich, the ultra rich in this country, the John Kerrys, they don't pay taxes. They have folks
Well, then why are you protecting them?
I'm not protecting them.
Well, then why don't we say that they should pay their share?
The mom and pop that run a business in my district who earn $300,000 in their business but reported on their personal income taxes.
Congressman, what about the loopholes for corporate jets? The corporate jets are not owned by the mom and pop guy in your district.
Jet in this country. You take every corporate jet in this country, see what you get for deficit reduction, but you'll also kill all of the jobs for the guys that maintain those jets, the guys that use those jets.
They're flying around in corporate jets giving out jobs. That's what they're doing. That's why we're giving them loopholes.
Look, you
they're
all
distributing
jobs.
You
all did this in 1991. You had the millionaires tax.
Who?
All of you guys, Democrats.
Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you. Since you told us what we're doing,
what you
let's
did
talk
was
about.
You killed those industries. Al.
Okay, I got it.
You killed those industries.
All right. Now I got it. Since we're going to talk about what we did, you said that you regretted voting for the debt ceiling to be hiked once. You really regret one of the worst things you ever did. Look, listen to what you said in January. I want just to remind.
Just on face value, no, I don't want to expand the debt limit. I have voted for it in the past, and it was one of the worst things I ever did in my life. I will not go there willingly again.
So you remember saying that? That was you?
Oh, absolutely.
But you not only voted for it once, you voted for it in 3 different occasions. You voted for it in 2003, you voted for it in 2004, you voted for it in 2005, yet all of a sudden in 2011 is one of the worst things you ever did. Were you engaging in political masochism, where you just was beating yourself up, doing things you really hated doing?
Look, the fact of the matter is, the year I voted for it in 2005, President Obama said it was a mistake and we shouldn't do it. Maybe I should have listened to him then, huh?
And that's your answer as to why you voted 3 times for the debt ceiling and not voting for it now? Is that President Obama said something?
The fact of the matter remains, Reverend, that if we raise the debt limit without serious reductions in spending in this country, you know, you can talk about how Moody's and Standard & Poor has given us warnings, but they've also given us severe warnings on the spending levels. And if we don't bring those under control, you and I can have all of the political discussions we want, but we're not going to solve the problem.
The president said let's deal with spending and with the tax cuts. Why do we only have to deal with one side? Shared sacrifice means shared sacrifice, Congressman. We're not saying that spending shouldn't be dealt with, but you're saying don't deal with taxes.
Have him put something down on paper. Congressional Budget Office told Paul Ryan, we can't score a speech from the president. You're going to have to get him to offer a plan so we'll know what he's talking about.
This is the problem.
This is the problem. You get in those negotiations and everything shifts. Everything you agree upon one evening is different the next morning. There is no certainty there. The president needs to put something down on paper and deliver it to the United States Congress.
To your leadership, let's put everything on the table, including discussions on programs that are painful to my body, and your leaders say, with your support, that they're not going to talk about it as long as there are taxes on the table. What do you mean put it in writing? You say there's nothing to talk about unless it's my way or the highway.
Did not say that at all. Look, you want to know, here's a painful truth for you, Al. We talk about the entitlement problem. We do have a big entitlement problem in this country, but the president refuses to allow this, the Affordable Care Act, to even be part of the discussion right now. Tell me that man is serious about what we're doing there.
The president has said, let's put it all on the table, and it was the Republicans that walked out.
This is a sacred document. The Affordable Care Act cannot be touched in these discussions. He said it over and over again. I'm sorry, the man's not serious.
The Ryan budget would, in itself, you'd have to lift the debt ceiling, and it adds $6 trillion. Look at it, to the national debt over the next decade. It would require an increase in the debt ceiling to do the Ryan budget. So you just said you were paying to vote for it again, but you'd support the Ryan budget, which in fact would raise the ceiling. I'm confused, Congressman.
Well, the fact of the matter is you do have to start somewhere, and we all know that these changes are going to occur over time. So you don't turn.
So now they are going to change. So the problem is that we just don't want to do it with Mr. Obama, and we want to talk about the so-called entitlements of people that paid into Social Security. People that paid into Social Security shouldn't be entitled to their Social Security, but millionaires should be entitled to their corporate jets. That's what you like as an entitlement.
Sir, the government is too big and spends too much. That is where we need to concentrate working on a solution. I'm happy if the president wants to join us on that.
Are you all clear that if we let the Bush tax cuts expire, that we would cover a huge part of the deficit, and it would really show a spirit of shared sacrifice? And even though people in your party are not dealing with it, it would be $420 billion. And I guarantee you, if we close loopholes, no matter how infinitesimal you think it may be, of the loopholes on corporate jets, I tell you, secret congressman, they're not riding around those jets distributing jobs.
Hey, listen, Al, last December, President Obama put a plan on the table to extend the Bush tax cuts for 2 years. I voted against it. I didn't think we could afford it. So why don't you talk to him about that, huh?
Well, I did, and he said that he would never do it again. He did it there to extend unemployment insurance. But again, you were the guy, I just played it, by the way, so you couldn't say you weren't, that said it hurt you. It hurt you so much that you did it 3 times. And the country's done it 74 times. But when this president says, let's do it, all of a sudden, it's out the window. But you said you would do it with Ryan.
He raised it 3 times in the last 2 years.
And
the problem
you said you'd raise it again under the Ryan plan, but you would not raise it to help save grandmas with senior citizens, and you would not raise it to save Medicare and Medicaid. But the Ryan budget, which would spend $6 trillion over the next decade, you'd raise the debt for that.
I wish this president had not wasted $1.5 trillion in his first month in office. I truly wish he had not. Unfortunately, he did, and that's why we are where we are today.
Well, I think that when he inherited a deficit, when in fact the preceding president had inherited an enormous surplus, I regret that happened, and I think this president had to deal with a very different hand. When you go from a surplus that Clinton left to what Bush left.
It was raining money here in February of 2009, and it didn't do a darn bit of good other than dig us deeper into this hole.
Congressman, I'm going to get an umbrella out for this raining of money, and I want you to come back next week, and I'm going to show you how if I had a hole in the umbrella, I wouldn't have got wet or hit with a dollar bill. Would you come back, be my guest again? I'd love to end the week with you next week. Have a great weekend. Thank you. God bless you. I'm going to hold you to that. You're going to come. I need you to educate me. I really want to learn.
You're right. You do.
Especially about how it took you so long and so many times to understand that debt relief was bad. Only when this president came in did you finally get this awakening. I really want you to teach me how that happened. Coming up, Rendell and Steele. One-on-one.